Welcome back, everybody. We are here with the Star Wars CCG Facebook graded group update for August of 2024. I'm here with JP, and we are going to discuss a wide range of topics. JP, welcome back, of course. Excited to chat with you today.
Always. Thanks for having me, Kyle. It's always good to give an update on the group and get all caught up with all the action for the month.
Yeah, so round the horn, we're going to cover this month's contest. We're going to outline the next 9 months of contest categories. We're going to talk about what's up with the Facebook graded group. We're going to talk about PSA, HGA, registry sets, BGS, and some updates on sales, as well as our adventures going through some of these collectible conventions and stuff like that. So just some tie-up stuff around the group. So let's kick off with the contest. I'm going to start off by just noting this was a really interesting contest. The Lowball only had one card submission, so we did get some good, interesting submissions. I did not know some of these cards existed out there, so I was happily surprised when we saw some just awful graded cards. So I don't know what you guys were thinking. Maybe you're just excited to jump into this Lowball category, but I'm going to start off with some notable submissions here outside of the top three. We have Cameron McMillan submitted a PSA 3 Boba Fett oversize. That's kind of an interesting submission for sure. And then Paul Hubbard has a PSA 3 Zuckuss and Mist Hunter. So that was also a very interesting submission. I'm going to kick off with third place, and I'm going to leave second and first place to JP. So in third place, we have Brian Emery, who submitted a PSA 2 good Endor Ewok Village foil. So that is pretty bad. It's pretty interesting. I got a 2. Not sure if that was just something you thought, let's just throw it in there and see what happens, but I love it. It's awful.
Well, yeah, when I was looking at that, I love the angle which Brian took pictures of it, and he stated, "Well, I don't think the grading techs know anything about the texture of the card." Now, I don't remember those foils having like any kind of different design or texture or anything to it, but yeah, I'd love to see some of these cards in person to see why it got a 3. So that's
yeah, it's a pretty comical. Like I said, my PSA 4, that was straight from a pack. So I know some of these, they just, I don't know. They're just maybe the PSA guys see something we don't. But whatever. It's all good. It's all funny. So PSA 2 good for Brian Emery. And because he got third place, he will win a Premier Booster Pack sealed. So congrats, Brian. And I'll leave it to JP for the next one.
Awesome. It's super hard decision. These two were just like the lowest you can get. So there's like no room for improvement, so to speak. And so we both had a good consensus. And Matthew McLean takes second place with the Princess Leia Organa Oversized. That's a PSA 1. And the prize for that is a Hoth Booster Pack. But that was a tough decision. So
yeah, it's a pretty awful grade to get. I know a lot of the big cards do pretty bad, but not that bad. That might be the worst though.
Yeah, I don't know if it gets to the point where they just say, okay, it's worse than a 1, and it's just authenticated that it's the real card, but there's just no grade to it. But coming in pretty powerful in the number 1 spot, and congratulations to Christopher Bauer, the Phantom Menace PSA 1 AI Phantom Menace took first place. What's great about that is if you look at his image, you can see the multiple crease lines that run right through the middle of that card. Like it was just like run over by a car and used as a, I don't know, something in the oven. I just can't, I don't know what happened to that card, but
I don't know, but it's curious. I'd love to know more about the logic behind that, but power to you, Chris. You now win a DS2 booster pack, so congrats on that win.
Awesome. Good job, guys. I wanted to see what was in everyone's collection. Everyone's got them. And so, look, I mean, there's big prizes out here for having the worst junk too. So we're going to keep it exciting and keep it fun. But that was a good competition, and I love watching it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, that was a fun change up there, especially during a time when it's kind of slow season for submissions. So I appreciate the activity there. All right, so JP and I have outlined the next few contests. So I will also post these in the Facebook group afterwards, so we can reference them. So we have for August, it's going to be pilot starship combinations. So like DS612 in Black 2, right? Or Gold Leader in Gold 1, right? Stuff like that. So that will be for August. September will be Cards with Destiny number 5. October will be non-foil locations and planets. November will be droids. Looking forward to that. December will be Cards with Destiny number 4. January will be cards that have stormtroopers in them, either in the picture or game text. So stormtroopers, right? February will be gambling gaming themes. So this could be Sabak. This could be gambler or gambling card, right? This could also be pod racing, right? So anything that's gaming, gambling themed. March will be foil locations and planets. April will be Cards with Destiny number 3. And then May will be devices and or creatures.
Cool.
So devices and or creatures. So that should give you plenty of time to buy, submit, gain the cards you need to play in these contests. And these are supported with prize support, which we will share upcoming. So stay tuned in the group for more details on that. Yeah. Any thoughts on those, JP?
Yeah, those were fun, and it's fun trying to come up with the different competition topics. But we don't want to repeat ourselves. We don't want to kind of see the same cards over and over. But these next 8-9 months are going to be really fun, seeing all the different things you guys have in your collections. And don't be afraid to showcase. Get it out there, and I'm really excited to see pilots and their matching starships. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we want to keep Luke busy in filling in cards on the graded sheet tracker that have never been posted there before. So I'm looking forward to seeing cards that I've not seen graded yet and just been like, oh, wow, I didn't know somebody graded that. I like seeing that kind of stuff. So very cool. All right, let's talk about Around the Horn Facebook graded group update. JP, give us some updates.
Yeah, so we're back to having steady growth, which is really good. I'd rather have this steady growth than these giant spurts, because sometimes we have like 20 in a week. But I like the 4 or 5 that trickle in. But related to that, I have been getting some additional messages from new folks about what it's all about. I haven't had those in a while, and they want to get their feet wet. They want to get started, and they want to know what the group offers, because just a few posts that they see when they're first coming in is that it looks like it's a supportive type of community, which we are. And so I said, you'll get all kinds of support. We've got a lot of experts and a lot of people that are seasoned in grading and can help you. Or we've paid the dummy tax, so to speak. So we can show you how to get from point A to point Z quicker with our knowledge. So I wanted to add that about the group's been doing good. We're growing and people are getting interested.
Yeah, how many members are we up to now? Like
813 as of this morning.
And then you were saying that ever since you've enacted the coinage rule, that's been positive?
Absolutely. So that was going to be one of my mentions here before we closed out, was that we haven't had one scammer come in since we inactivated the coinage rule. So you have to post a piece of paper next to the thing you want to sell or auction with your name and date on it. It's very simple, and it saves a lot of headaches. I've only had to get onto a couple of people, and I did close down 2 of them. I didn't get any responses back from the folks, so I shut them down probably before anybody even seen them. So I do love the new rule, and I haven't heard anybody complain or no riffraff in the group. Something simple, and we keep the group clean.
That's great. Yeah, because these people are out there, and we know we've seen them in just the generic Star Wars CCG buying and selling groups before. Even for stuff that's not that expensive, stuff you might think, well, why would somebody scam at this level? But um, it's happening across all these groups, and the coinage solution seems to be the best bet. So I'm glad that we're on top of that, and we can have a healthy buying, selling, trading community because of it. All right. So other things that have been going on for the month of August, PSA is doing another special for non-sport TCG collectibles. It's $13.99 per slab if you submit a minimum of 20 items, and each of those cards have a $150 value max graded. So I'm glad they brought that back. We kind of missed that the last month or two, ever since like May. Star Wars Special, so basically getting that back. So now would be a good time to submit. To expect to get your cards back in October, so maybe early November. HGA had closed up submissions as of July 15th this year. They have not reopened with that. I know they are restructuring and stuff like that. I know most of you probably saying I couldn't care less or let them sink and die, but I personally do like them for my PC collection. Most of the stuff that I have hung up on my wall as opposed to shoved into a suitcase is the stuff I submitted to HGA. The stuff that I have from all the others, and I have CGC, SGC, PSA, and VGS, like they're all in, for the most part, they're just sitting in a box. So I am sad to hear that. I hope that they get some good feedback and can reopen soon. In terms of collectible adventures and stuff, I know you've done some stuff with your local game shop and stuff. Andy and I went to Collecticon last month just to check it out in New Jersey. Very large event. We didn't know what to expect. Wasn't necessarily expecting to see Star Wars CCG stuff there per se, but I was kind of curious of what's hot in the market and what's big. This was heavy into Pokemon. Really heavy into Pokemon. I'd say like 90% of everything in there.
Wow.
Pokemon, tons and tons and tons of Pokemon. There was a little bit of Lorcana there. There was a bunch of tables that had one piece, so that's something that was on the rise. I found like one table with like top Star Wars cards, and they weren't even that many or anything worth of note. I did not see any Star Wars CCG stuff there. There were a few vendors that were selling things like retro video games, and some like lightsabers and other like medieval, anime kind of stuff, decent amount of anime stuff. The one notable Star Wars thing was Ray Park was there to sign things, so there was a long line. That would have been cool. It was neat to see him. It would have been nice to get something to have him autographed, but I didn't feel like waiting hours in a line to do so. But yeah, overall, not a very helpful event for what we were looking for. Not even that much Star Wars Unlimited. I maybe found like one table with a binder of like 11 cards of Star Wars Unlimited. It's like an afterthought. So I was kind of surprised, but maybe that's just the nature of that event per se. So we'll have to keep digging around there. Anything on your side, JP?
No, nothing. There's just a bunch of sports card shows that are coming up. I keep trying to reach out to the coordinator of that. I leave messages and nobody gives me a call back. I don't know if this has to be done years in advance or months in advance, but I'm going to keep pounding away at it because I don't mind getting a vendor booth and just spreading stuff out and having a bunch of stuff I could even sell and trade just to start getting people used to seeing it at the shows. But there aren't any just like non-sport shows. They're usually just all sports shows around the Springfield area in the Midwest. But yeah, it's something we're just going to have to keep pounding at.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll keep my eyes open for anything in the Northeast, but if I'm able to go to it, I'll go to it. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit of some of the curious highlighted sales over the course of July. I wanted to call out a few of them. There's obviously a bunch, but we had 153 recognize sold singles is July. Now, keep in mind, Luke is on vacay, so maybe he hasn't finished with the final total, so there could be a few more in there. But overall, not that many. It's been a slow month. It is summer. But here were some of the funny or interesting things I found. So there was a PSA 7 white border Luke from the 2-player set that sold for 92 cents on eBay. So that is pretty low. That's pretty curious. Another sales of note. So there was Japanese Premier Imperial class Star Destroyer, a PSA 9 and a PSA 10, both sold on the same day. The PSA 9 sold for $5.50. The PSA 10 sold for $164.50.
Wow.
So that is insane and very interesting to see just how much people are like, I need that in 10. Now, this is not a rare card. It is an uncommon one, but arguably I come across that card less than I have on a lot of R2s. I have many more R2s than I do of that card. So I would argue that that uncommon one is just harder to come across. And of the uncommon ones, for some reason, I see that one the least. If not like top 3 least in all the Japanese Premier rippings I've done, as most of you have seen. And in your Schadenfreude adventures, watching me do that. Another notable sale, we had a Grand Moff Tarkin PSA 10 black border privately sell, or no, it sold on eBay, for $410. And we had an Obi-Wan Kenobi BGS 9.5 with quad 9.5s sell for $1,600 private sale. So those were the heavy hitters. There were a few other Japanese Premier slabs of PSA 10 that I bought for like $150 each from Sergey, but for the most part, not a heavy hitting month, pretty quiet month overall. Any thoughts on that, or what to expect on this month, August, now that we're gearing back at end of summer?
Yeah, I mean, we talked just very briefly before we started recording, and you brought up a really good point about how people are just outside, people are just doing their vacations and their fun time outside. So it's going to be slightly, less during the summertime. But yeah, we're getting back in. People are getting back to school. People are staying inside more. So we need somebody to put out a really good Star Wars show for us to watch, and not a show that everybody complains about. So if we can get some more shows that come out around the Christmas time, I think that usually picks up interest in the cards as well. So we'll see how the rest of the year goes. But, I from my chair, I'm watching the volumes are not bad, but the sales prices have been the lowest I've seen in ages. So when there are boxes and singles and graded cards that are selling for some of the cheapest I've seen, that's when you jump in and get what you can, because prices aren't going to stay that low. They're going to go right back up at the end of the year. So keep watching.
Yeah, there was some poorly mislabeled Premier Unlimited booster box that sold for like $105 or something. There were 2 Jabba's Palace booster boxes that sold from private sale for $190. I mean, that's really low historically. And even some of the Cloud City boxes creeping below the 300s into the 200s, something that's down. But again, not the best time to having to be sell. If you have to sell it, we understand that. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, or you're just moving on for whatever reason. But yeah, I don't think this is like the be all end all. Keep in mind that I want to say half the sealed sales that happened in July were because of Brian. You know where you are, and he literally ripped all of it. He's grading all of it. He ripped all of it. So now there's just that many less sealed boxes out there of this product because Brian is going to rip it. So if you're going to sell to him, he's going to rip it. But I am looking forward to seeing his graded sets when he does get all that stuff back. I don't know if he won the lottery or something, but man, he's just on a roll with that stuff. So,
well, he's got his wife's buy-in with it as well. She's just as interested.
Oh, it's a family affair. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's no argument probably in the house about buying boxes and what you need to start creating. If you're both in it, then man, that's a great hobby to be in.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm being mildly envious of that. But yeah, that's all I got for this month. So I'm looking forward to, again, for August, pilot starships contest. I look forward to seeing the submissions with that. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to JP or myself, and we'll be happy to help in the group.
That's right.
So, all right. Thank you, JP.
Thanks, Kyle.